Welcome to this video on the topic of Year 7 Statistical Mathematics, drawing column charts. In this lesson, you'll learn how to represent statistical data using a column chart. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to name the key features that make up a column chart, and you'll also be able to draw a column chart. Now consider the situation. Smarties come in a variety of colors. The diversity of the Smartie types can be described by the colors shown over here. So we have black, brown, blue, green, red, orange, purple, pink, and yellow Smarties. This sort of data, we call it categorical data because it's listed by names and not by numbers. Now, the diversity of the data may be explained using a quantity called frequency. Frequency being the measure of how often something occurs. Now, in the situation that you open up a packet of Smarties, the Smartie color allocation can be as follows. You could have 1 black Smartie, 2 brown, 1 blue, 5 green, 3 red, 7 orange, 2 purple, 3 pink, and 1 yellow. This figure we have over here, we call this Italian frequency table. So the frequency tells us how often the color occurs when we open up the Smartie pack. Now these figures are great in that they tell us the breakdown of the diversity inside, say, a packet of Smarties. But one thing that they lack in is it's a written form, and therefore it's a little bit difficult to digest. We have to read what's going on. What would be nice though is if we could have some sort of figure that we simply just look at it like a picture and we're able to understand what's happening. To do this, we can use something called a column graph. Now a column graph might look something like these if we type it into Google Images. So we're looking at a type of figure where the information is presented to us visually, and the visual characteristics of this are that we have information on the left, information on the right, and then we have these bars going up and down. The height of the bars determine the diversity of the data. So what we're going to learn how to do is how to draw our own column graphs like this. Now, to be able to construct a column graph, what we first need to do is get some space on our page. We're going to use an Italian frequency table and convert that into a column graph. Now, to start the column graph, we get a ruler and we set it to the horizontal, just like that. We always draw our column graphs with a ruler. Going down, I'm going to get some free space. If you're going to draw yours at the same time, make sure you've got enough free space like I'm planning on mine. Now, on the left of the page, I'm going to start by ruling a line just like this. I recommend doing it in pencil because you'll end up modifying your graph later down the line when we start populating it. So I'll just draw a nice line like that. Now the next step is we look at the colors that we have available. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What we need to do is we need to allot some area along this horizontal line to put these 9 colors. To do this, I'm going to skip the first square here, and then starting from the second square, I'll put some notches in. So that's 1 for black, my area for brown, blue, green, and finally I've got my yellow here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I've got some excess slack here. I can just get my rubber and I can rub that section out. Now the colors are going to go along the bottom here. The next step is we need to assign the vertical column. So I get my ruler out one more time and I set it to the vertical direction. Just like that. Then I'm going to hold it steady on the left here. Now, to be able to understand how high up I need to rule, I need to look at the quantities in my frequency column. That's seen over here. What I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for the highest frequency. If I look at that, I've got a 1, a 2, a 5, a 7, and it looks like the 7 is the highest one here. So what that means is I have to be able to represent up to 7 on my vertical area. To do this, I'm just going to say that one grid or one square is representative of a frequency of 1. So following that up, I'm going to rule up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have to represent at least up to 7. So I'm going to go upwards to 8. Putting my ruler away, I'm then going to mark an arrowhead at the top here. On the left hand side, I'm going to draw notches. and then I'm going to put in the numbers. So we have 0 down the bottom, followed by 1, 2, 3. So what we can see is we've got a scale going up on the left. Now the next step we need to do is we need to put in the colors down the bottom here. The first color we need to put in is black. And I'm going to stylize mine like this. I'm going to fill in the rest of the colors along the bottom here. I've got all the colors down the bottom. Now the next step is I need to start labeling these axes. Now the axis that we have down here on the horizontal, we simply name this colors. And what this does is it communicates to the reader of the graph that the colors of the Smarties are on or represented down the bottom here. Now on the vertical axis we call this frequency. I'll just abbreviate it like this. Now the next step is we need to start drawing in the bars. To do this, what we do is we pick a neutral color and we go with our ruler like so. And I prefer to start drawing it in via the horizontals first. So we can see with black we've got a frequency of 1. So I locate 1 and then on the black section I just rule across like this. On the next one I have brown, which is a value of 2. So I go to the brown section and I rule across 2 like so. To the blue, green is 5. Now that my horizontals are done, I'm now going to go back with a ruler and start ruling all of the vertical lines. I'm always going to use a ruler for this, that way my graph is nice and tidy. There's no point drawing a figure if no one can read it because it's too messy. So we always use a ruler when we're drawing these sorts of figures. Perfect. My columns have been drawn in. Now the final step to finalize this particular graph is on the horizontal, I'm just going to draw a notch in like this to represent that this is the only data we have within this particular data set. And then finally, I'm going to label the graph. So the graph itself, it is going to be called Smartie diversity. Notice that this is the exact same name as the tally and frequency table over here. The reason for this is that both of these figures represent the same data, as in they represent the same information. The only difference is that this one is in a graphical mode and this one is in a tabulated mode. Again, the reason why we use this one over here is because a picture paints 1,000 words and it's easier to digest pictures. Now some more things you could do to this to finalize the graph is you can add a little bit of stylistic flair. So what we can do is we can shade the various areas within the graph. And thus we finalize drawing our column chart. Now in summary, for this lesson we set out to learn how to represent statistical data using a column chart. By now we should all be able to name the key features that make up a column chart, and we should be able to draw a column chart.